Siamo means that we have arrived, both in the sense of a post-pandemic world and in the success of the opening of Hillary and Danny Meyer's Union Square Hospitality Group's new restaurant, Siamo.
We've known Hillary for like 10 years. Since you were CDC at Avoce and then executive chef at Vic's, which is a wonderful neighborhood restaurant, and now in your newest role. So congrats, we're excited to talk about it with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hillary is making a rigatoni dish.
What are we making
Tell
today?
us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it's kind of a combination of cacio e pepe and amatriciana without the tomato.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Amatriciana?
Yeah.
That's
Mine
how,
too.
like, yeah, he used to make that for me once upon a time.
I just put it on the lunch menu actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Coming for lunch next
I
week.
did
Pasta
put
is
it-
everywhere.
Spaghetti. So it's a little bit softer, a little
Right.
bit easier to cook, a little faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Our lunch guests, want fast and furious, right?
Yeah.
So I had to bring my, of course, my pepper mill.
We had
I
it.
learned already about the pepper mill and I'm failing in my pepper game. So tell us why the
Hillary's
mill and
yeah.
what kind of peppercorns go into your
Well, I mean, this is a unicorn pepper mill. It's made in the United States.
Literally,
It's
Not
called a
sponsored by
Unicorn
Unicorn.
Magnum.
I
It's
love
called
it.
Unicorn Magnum.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had a long talk with my GM about this is what I wanted pepper, like if someone asked for pepper, this is the pepper mill I'd like.
How did you find the pepper mill?
So this is a pepper mill we used to use back at Lupa,
Okay.
back in the day for cacio e pepe.
Oh.
And then to piggyback on that, compulsive, peppercorn game, right?
Right.
Mark Ladner would come in the kitchen and be like, these peppercorns are old. I stopped.
What's the lifespan of a dry peppercorn?
I think you should change it. It depends how much you use pepper in your house.
Right.
I can't imagine that you're sitting here like cracking pepper, which
Just
I'm
with
going to
two
do right
kids.
now while we're chatting.
Scream at every time they see black pepper. So
The kids do.
Yeah.
I'm
they
sure.
eat nothing.
Especially like.
I joke that they're on the white food diet, our kids. Yeah.
Well, they'll advance,
wait,
you know, at
are
some
you
point.
making the sauce now?
I'm just cracking
Black
some
pepper
pepper.
goes into, okay.
That's how we started.
It goes into the pan.
It goes into the pan. So
Ah,
you have to
gotcha.
toast
You're
it
gonna
and
like
draw the
toast.
oils out. So I figured while we were at these,
This is like
you want to
totally
crack
new
this? It's so
techniques
so
I've seen.
amazing. You really have to like really get in there.
And how much are we doing?
About maybe like
Oh my
we
God,
make them
it's
too. I
unicorn
know.
Pepper mill.
Does it feel different?
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
The difference, though,
I think that's
you showed me next to mine,
right.
is that the aroma
Yeah.
just from cracking it, you can actually smell the black peppercorns.
Yeah,
That's
you can
really
smell
good.
it. It's sweet. It's floral.
How
It's
many of these do you have?
in the kitchen. We have about 6 of them. There.
And you've tried other peppercorn mills, and this is the only one.
The only one. While we're chatting, I'm just gonna drop the pasta over here real quick.
So tell us a little bit about so you were at Vic's for 7 years.
Yeah.
And tell us about transitioning to this new project that just opened. It's a lot bigger, and how did you get synced up with Danny, and how did you make the decision to make the move?
I had met Danny a couple of years back.
Hillary was telling us how she met Danny at a No Pin Hungry event
Yep.
while she was cooking.
And
Yep.
he was sitting at the table next to mine, not the one I was serving. And what happened was one of the guests at that table, he tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey, they were friends. Hey, what are you eating over there? And I was making tortellini with black trumpets in a brodo. And so she comes up and she's like, "Can you make Danny Meyer your bowl of pasta?" And I'm like cooking on induction burners, like out of a hot box.
No
like,
pressure.
It was
No
like
pressure,
definitely
chef.
a pasta that I was like,
Not really an
okay.
option to say no, though.
Yeah, you can't say no to Danny
I
Meyer
can't say
either.
no to
Right.
Danny Meyer. So I made him a bowl of pasta and
Must
we had
have
a
been all right.
conversation. It was okay. Yep, we did okay on that day. And we spoke about a position years ago, and it just wasn't the right role for me at the time. So we kept in contact and, revisited 3 years later
Right.
for Siamo. At that point, it was unnamed, but
Unnamed.
Right.
And
What's
it-
the basics of the restaurant, where it is, size of it, menu, all that good stuff?
you got it. Siamo is located in Manhattan West. So which no one knows what that means. It's
It's very hard to find, but once you're there, it's magical.
It's like, yes,
It's a little community once you get in there, though.
It is,
It's really nice
and it's a
comfortable
great interview. Like
Yeah.
if someone can make it there, they usually I'm like you're,
You're hired.
Probably not getting out either.
No, you're stuck. Yeah.
Luckily, there's like different concepts, so you can stay as long as you like.
We totally front get you back into, we can get you down to daily provisions. It's kind of like we like to think of it as North Chelsea. I'm
Use a
stretching.
rebrand, probably.
It
Right.
does.
Yeah.
So we're in this like little pocket between Hudson Yards and Penn Station, and they kind of made it a pocket. So you walk through this like fake lemon farm, lots of big pictures, an ice skating rink right now, which is thank you NHL. I can't wait for that to,
Right.
it's blocking my
Season
path.
change.
Yeah. And it's, basically Siamo is about simplicity and honoring travel and dreams and flavors and kind of bringing them all back to the table.
Cool.
How many seats? It's a big place.
120,
Two
2 kitchens, 120 seated, 30-seat lounge, and outside there's going to be many more seats coming soon.
Yay.
And how big is your team in the kitchen? In the kitchens.
The kitchens, I think we're hovering around 30, 35 right now,
Okay.
with many more additional hands
Staffing
to be needed.
has been an issue for
Hillary's
a lot of
hiring
people
if you're
right now.
if you're
I'm
listening.
still hiring. I'm always hiring. I'm always looking
When
for
we were
people.
there, you said that you
We're
were
good.
surprisingly doing very well with your team. And
We are. I think I'm also a teaching chef. I like to be hands-on. I like to talk about layers and flavors, and I'm not going to hand you a recipe book. I'm terrible at that.
do you have a recipe book?
I do, but it's definitely not scaled to
Right.
what we're doing right now. It's
Right.
like for 2 portions of this.
Right.
So for me, I'm not going to gram out something for 300 covers every night. It just doesn't work. And honestly, as I like to explain to cooks why I don't do this, they're like, "Can you have the recipe book?" And I was like, "What do you need a recipe book for?"
Right.
I'm going to show you how many grams are in everything, but I can't show you how many grams are in that red wine vinegar or that lemon or that orange that we're going to squeeze or that serrano that goes with the
Right.
trout. Is it spicy
How
today?
many
Is it
cracks?
not?
The pepper mill.
My cacio at Vic's was 28 cracks.
28 cracks.
28 cracks,
That's a
exactly
lot of
3
cracks.
3 grams of
Yeah.
black peppercorns. The Allegrija is not as much.
Okay.
It's like 0.3 grams.
Tasting is an important part. I was always curious
Tasting and smelling.
during and now that we're going out of the pandemic
I'm just
type
gonna
of,
drop it.
Yeah, drop it outside.
of world and where you're cooking. How was tasting? How has it evolved? Is it back? Were people always doing it? Like, right? I mean, me growing up in the kitchen, it was like taste everything all
Taste
the time,
everything,
right?
taste
Like, how do you not?
You still have to remind people.
Right.
That's
Did people go away from it for a little while?
They
Was it
do,
seen as
especially when
like
you have a mask
take your
on.
mask down and like,
you're like, okay, and then your mask is covered in like something
right.
and butter and cheese and so I think also there's safety, right? So we definitely had to taste a lot, and I think as chefs we had to get smarter because we were going to taste before service, right? Line checks always, and a lot of the food, we can gauge what needs to get done on the pickup with less tasting during service, especially with 2 very large open kitchens.
Mhm.
I think, but I also in my interviews I ask cooks, do you like to eat? And if they said no, I mean, we're in the wrong business. So that's, if you don't like to eat, I don't know why you'd be a cook.
Right. Do you actually have people that came in and said, and,
There's different kinds of cooks out there. There's ones that want to be chefs.
right,
There's ones that love to be cooks.
right,
And there are ones that are just really just enjoy just cooking and that's it.
right,
Or they found themselves in this because they were a dishwasher or a prep person.
right,
And they're just good at it, and that's what they've decided that they want to do for a living and not take it seriously as some, make a career out of it.
Right.
And just like enjoy their job.
right.
Yeah.
And I like all people that, if you enjoy your job, that's great too.
Mhm.
So,
So we dropped the pasta. We're
Pasta's
toasting the
down.
peppercorn.
toasting the peppercorns is a really important step.
Okay.
I do need a little olive oil though.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I didn't ask for that.
Have it up here.
Just a splash. Basically what I'm doing is toasting the peppercorns, and then once you don't, there's a fine line where they go too far, where they become like,
Get bitter or something?
yeah, they get bitter, and then like that over toasted like nut comes
Mhm,
out,
mhm.
Got it.
or over toasted grain. When you're like, and it gives you, instead of having this like fruity, just hints of pepper, hints of floral notes, it all of a sudden becomes a powerhouse, and like in a one-dimensional powerhouse, as opposed to not the layers that need to go in there.
So how long do we toast for normally?
Until you can start smelling it.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll hit that with a little bit of olive oil.
Is that enough?
And your
olive?
kitchen has, I saw from reading some of the reviews and stuff, that your kitchen has, it's sort of built around the idea of the live fire, right?
Absolutely.
Is any of this stuff, would that normally happen over a fire? Like would you toast the peppercorns?
For pasta, no, I haven't figured out how to intertwine the
Right.
fire as much.
Or the bacon, so you're now putting rendered bacon pieces into
Yeah,
with
so
the
this
pepper?
is, so the traditional Matriciana or Allegrija is guanciale.
Is this guanciale?
This is guanciale.
Okay.
So we get our guanciale from a very lovely husband and wife team from Hurleyville, New
Yeah,
York.
we love that.
I do love a husband and wife team, right?
Yeah.
Called La Salomina.
Okay.
And they're up and they use Hurleyville and they have a little shop. So they're expanding. And basically we've been buying all of their guanciale from it. And,
all the
and
guanciale,
pancetta, and
yeah.
like they've been asking neighbors for pig cheeks because they don't have enough to like cure for us. And every Monday I get a text from Eleanor saying,
She's like stressed.
how much do you need? I was like the same as last week. And
All of it.
if she really actually even knew how much more I actually needed,
Right.
and I have to sub in
You're
a little
subbing
bit,
in.
yeah,
Right.
because otherwise there's not enough pigs in her
Right.
repertoire and her farm up there that will take for what we need. So now I'm just toasting, and then we're going to stop the cooking with a little bit of the pasta water. Nothing better than that noise.
I know, the best noise.
Yeah.
Sizzle, sizzle.
And you can smell that guanciale. You can
Yeah.
smell the fat. You can smell it intertwining.
So you guys were building, I imagine the size and the scope of this restaurant you've been building for a little while. When did plans start? When did you get involved? Tell us a little bit about the beginnings of it.
My first day was, I think, April 15th last year.
Of
Okay.
2021.
Of 2021, I started building, this project was in the works for a little bit. And I joined in April, and I spent the summer, don't look,
We're dropping in butter. How much butter, chef?
so much.
Lots of
Well,
butter.
she came with probably 2 pounds of butter, but it looks like only half of it's going in.
Yeah, no, only half of it. Just gonna get a little fresh water.
Yeah.
This can get a little salty. And now we're gonna emulsify the pork fat, the pasta water, and the butter.
And the butter.
And then eventually we'll put some cheese in there.
Just more fat on fat.
More fat on fat.
Yeah.
Love it.
I started working at one of the sister restaurants all summer. I had
Okay.
a space, a little kitchen set up in the basement where I could write a menu, test it out,
Right.
start building the team. Originally we were supposed to open July.
Okay.
July 13th actually was my wedding anniversary. And I
So
was
the
like,
concept
yeah, I
was
won't
like
forget that.
partially formed
Uh,
when you came in to work with
It was
the
Italian.
group. It was
Italian.
Italian.
It was Italian, and
Right.
which was really hard for me because at Vic's I really loved using the farmer market, and seasonality was a huge thing, and American ingredients using interpreted with Italian food. So like this was like all of a sudden I had like no restrictions,
Right.
and it was just like blank piece of paper staring back at me.
Right.
Like I was like, where do I start?
And so tell us how you did. Did you come up with everything and then bring it to a group of people? Is it you and Danny sitting down and chat?
Well, there was a
Who's
couple
there?
of conversations. This is really, I had at Marta, there's a hotel above it that was closed, so
Right.
I worked out of room 206, which is a hotel room. And
You're
which,
staying in room 206. You can probably
You
still
can probably
smell
smell it. I know.
the aromas from the black
Unfortunately, there's
pepper
still
and
some of my
Parmesan.
stuff there. I kind of like walked out and was like, okay, I'm going to the restaurant now, and I just left.
And you
like,
never went
I
back.
haven't
You're
come
like,
back. My
bye.
bike's actually in room 206 right now.
I'm watching this Anna Delvey's story. This is like Anna
Yeah.
Delvey like just bolted from the hotel room.
I just like am out. I need to go back though. It's really bad. I need to go back. So I was drawing inspiration. I ended up was like struggling because I was like, what do I want to make to Siamo? I have a blank canvas, a blank room. At that point, all I knew was that it was still some barely tiles on the floor. There was nothing there, and so I was only seeing. I never saw any renderings, so I didn't know the colors. I just knew that it was based around the hearth, the terracotta, the tiles, all that stuff. They wanted to be creative with building fire.
Right.
So I just started kind of reminiscing. And I remember just sitting there going through old pictures of my travels and like trying to find things that I loved dearly and wanted to bring forward. And that kind of got me inspired. Okay,
Right.
let's start with this. What do I want to start with? Especially this one meal I had in Verduno, which is outside of Bra in Piemonte. Little trattoria. Started off with like a bite of this, and then the meal just continued, and every dish was just so different, and we never knew what we were eating. So it was that constant surprise. And one of the last dishes we ate was rabbit braised in gorgonzola and arnese, and became, which is now similar, inspired our rabbit pasta.
What is Arnese?
White wine.
Okay.
So
It smells delicious.
I'm gonna add some cheese, and then I guess we'll tighten it up and get the sauce into where it needs to go. I don't know how seasoned it is yet, but we'll find out in a second. And I just kind of started writing down dishes that I wanted to eat again.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, the big piece of paper, I do use big paper.
You do?
Yeah, everything is big paper. And people kind of like, the cooks are like, at first they're like, what do you mean? What's the big paper? And like when we open, there's big paper everywhere of like station setups and all these
Right.
things. And again, if you're a cook that wants me to hand you a book, you're going to get a big piece of paper and we're going to write the book together.
Right.
And I essentially just started writing big papers, and I had like 5 or 6 big papers filled of just stuff. We had a meeting, Claudia, Fleming, Danny, my GM, our director of ops, all together in this room, and we talked about what we wanted to achieve with this project.
In room 206.
They definitely did not come to room 206. I would say it was more of a boardroom in the home office. And Danny looks at us, he's telling us what he wants to prove and what he wanted to achieve with this project. And then he looks at me and he's like, I wanted you to make it feel like we are going out to come home.
Going out to come home.
Part of the whole, like, we're leaving our houses finally, but we want to be comfortable wherever we're going.
Right.
You know, no one wants to go to a stuffy restaurant right now. They want to
No.
go someplace
It is
where
a
they
very
can,
comfortable restaurant. I have to like the chair. Those chairs are 2-hour chairs. Like
They-
they like
yeah.
really are. Like you can like sit. Like I remember being like, this is a
Yeah.
3-hour booth. I was
Yep.
like, yeah.
And it is.
It is.
Every-
Like, I wish it wasn't a 3-hour booth.
It's like,
Yeah,
I
turn
got
the table.
two
Yeah.
turns on that one.
Yep.
But they, you know, and then we just kept like, I was like, okay, what does that mean? So I went home, and I'd cooked all day, and I'm cooking these dishes, and I still don't have this menu in structure. And I'm just like, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I sat down at my dining room table, and it was summer, so I didn't turn the lights on. It was like, we have really nice light in our dining room. And I poured myself a Campari and soda, as you would. Because it's Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon,
I just
yep.
had eaten all day long, and I was super full, and my wife was out of town. So I poured myself a Campari soda, and I was like, as you would when you're eating, you need something to snack on. Even though I was so full, it didn't matter. I had a bowl of pistachios and a Campari soda. And it was kind of like that moment where I was like, oh my God, this is what he means.
This is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it. So as simple as that, it kind of like this crazy moment of like, okay, you're coming to my house.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna give you a spritz, and we're gonna have some chips, and you know, I'm gonna make you anchovy toast, and I'm going to do all these things for you, and we're gonna be cooking together like we are now.
Mhm.
That's why the kitchen is so open, because it's supposed to be that you are coming over
Like in the living room.
Right. You're in the
Watching.
living room.
and
Yeah.
hanging out with us.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole thing, and then I was like, okay, now I understand a little bit more. And the other day, Danny was like, one day I'm going to tell you what I really meant by that. And I was like, actually, I don't know if I want to know. I've created this whole narrative about this like
Right.
one conversation that I was like, oh my God, is this what it means? I don't know, but this is what I'm going to.
Does he bring it up often, or is it just like the one time? Is it like a running thing? And like
You know,
in the
he
restaurant?
texted me one day about it, and he's like, one day I'll tell you. And I was like,
I don't know.
I just don't know. I said it, you know, I was telling the story to somebody, and I was like, but it was just such this moment where I sat there, and like the lights weren't on, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have a direction.
Right.
And I wanted to invite everyone over. 300 people a night, let's come on over.
So this is what you would cook for a dinner party if we were to come to your house, basically.
100%.
Cool. I love that.
And I did, I invited some college friends over who recently moved to the city, and right after everyone got like vaccinated, I think we went through like 6 bottles of wine, and we just laughed, and I cooked them the beginning of this menu.
So given that the whole theme of the restaurant and the menu, the way that you all are approaching it, do you feel that? Do you feel that New York is coming out of COVID, and especially so like last week here in New York, or this week, starting on Monday,
Yeah.
like the vaccine mandate key to New York is over. How, as a chef and restaurateur, somebody with employees, to think about how are you approaching that? How does it feel for you and your team?
I mean, for us, the team knows it's completely up to them if they want to wear a mask or not.
Yeah.
I wear a mask a lot during the day or in the evening, and then there's just a lot of people around.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that haven't gotten COVID yet.
You are?
Yeah.
You're a unicorn. You're Annabelle.
I'm like, you know, there's a whole article in the Times today about it, about the people that like, and I'm
Which
like,
is amazing because you've been working.
I've been
like,
surrounded by it,
people,
like
yeah.
this close to me,
Right.
like for hours, and and I don't know what it is. I'm a little bit of a unicorn, or I've just had it like 4 times,
And
I
you just didn't know.
Notice that, right?
Yeah, so, which is always a possibility as well, because I've definitely been exposed more times than I can
So
count.
people are comfortable with it, with
People
the
are comfortable.
changes.
The cooks,
Are they excited? Or are
Are
they
they excited and
anxious?
feeling?
Are they?
I think they're excited because you can feel it in the air. Like today we opened for lunch, and at lineup today the sun is shining in the restaurant.
Spring.
No one's wearing a mask,
Right,
and it was just a different energy
right.
about it.
And part of I think so much about hospitality is, just enjoying each other and like giving to people,
Yeah.
right? Part of being in the hospitality industry is making other people happy and making their day or making their evening or
And
whatever
smiling.
it is. And so like not being
Yeah.
able to sort of see that instant gratification that comes from a great meal or a great bottle of wine, or I would imagine would be taxing for
Mhm.
for you during that time.
You can still feel the energy behind the mask,
Right,
right? You can feel when someone is not happy.
right.
I didn't taste this though. Just
Right, so
I-
we're
It looks
playing.
good. You added cheese. You
I
added
added
Parmesan.
cheese, and I added a little bit of parm and pecorino.
And a little bit more butter. I saw that one too.
Yeah, just a touch.
Just a touch. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
There's just
So it's
something,
parm and pecorino. Okay.
we use butter because the restaurant's so big. A traditional cacio e pepe doesn't have butter in it. But you go to Rome, and we went on a cacio e pepe tour one day. It was really gross.
Cacio e pepe tour.
Yeah, it was so bad. I ate like 6 bowls of cacio e pepe.
Oh my God.
And it was
Your
summer.
hands like swollen.
It's so
You're
bad.
so salty.
It was so bad. And finally, like the last one, I think I had 6 bowls of cacio e pepe that trip, and the 7th was an amatriciana because I just couldn't do it.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, mix it up a little.
I did.
Tell me
mean,
why the butter would suffice because it's a bigger.
it's a big restaurant, and like the only way to get from point A to point B is to cheat a little bit and have a safety net, because
Yeah.
you can emulsify this
Normally it would
without
just be the pasta
Pasta water and
pasta
the
water,
cheese.
cheese,
Got it.
yep. And this
And the bacon
Oh,
fat.
it's so good. And then we're topping it with
Or one
pecorino or
excuse me.
pecorino.
Yeah.
A little more.
And a little
of
bit
that
more pepper.
uniform
Yeah,
So we talked a little bit about the peppercorn mix
yeah.
as you were shaming me about my peppercorn.
There was no shame.
It was a little bit of shame. It was a little bit of shame. But it was dessert. She was like, "How old are these peppercorns?" And we're
McCormick
like,
peppercorns from like 8 years ago.
From the
Tell me about what kind do you
next
get?
to La Superior over there.
Right.
These are telecherry and a peppercorn from Cambodia called kamput.
And you said like a 5-to-1 or something.
Yeah, 5-to-1. They
Heavy
just
on the telecherry.
hell yeah.
And that's more the classic.
That's
peppercorn,
classic. That's
right?
what's in the McCormick most of the time.
Right.
It just probably been sitting on the shelf for a really
Yeah,
long time.
sorry,
Yeah.
McCormick, please don't watch this.
I'm sorry. Let's put expiration dates on those things, and
Yeah.
then we can
Yes.
help you. Yeah, it's just really important that it like you open that bag up and you should get like knocked over.
yeah.
By that smell. And like, people are like, oh, pepper's spicy. Pepper's not spicy.
Right.
There are certain peppercorns that are spicy, Szechuan, greens,
Right.
Right.
But like black pepper and white pepper and pink pepper, they're adding completely different flavor profiles that people have no idea about. Let's find out. See if I can cook something without tasting it.
How'd you do? I mean, it was a little bit of a quick fire challenge. We were
Was-
distracting you.
That's fine.
It's delicious.
Maybe a touch of salt more in the water, but other than
Ah,
that.
I
I
think
mean, the
it's
crispy
delicious.
bacon, or
Yeah.
mozzarella, excuse me,
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah.
That's
The
fantastic.
star of the show is the peppercorns.
It's the
Let's be
peppercorns
real.
all day long.
Let's be real. The star of the show is the peppercorns.
And I'm trying to teach the cooks how to make cacio e pepe, because a lot of times we'll get rigatoni no guanciale, and I'm trying to teach them that the 28 cracks and the toasting and we're not there yet. We're still working.
Is there a crack count on this?
This is 3 into the pan per order.
Yeah.
3, but not then you have to there's
Yeah,
a
right,
peppercorn
it's like how much
stance.
is it?
Yeah, there is such a stance when you're
Right.
Yeah, let's do some
quick fire questions.
Quick fire. Yeah, so we try to ask these to everybody.
Okay.
So they're kind of like quick fire, little
Great.
to round it out. I'll start it off. Your favorite menu item.
It's a toss up between the pizza bianco with anchovies and the trout.
Oh.
And the trout, which is like a whole.
It's a whole trout
What
stuffed
roasted?
with, it's my ode to Zuni Cafe, stuffed with raisins and pine nuts and mustard greens and bread.
Most ordered item currently.
Onion torta.
Oh yeah.
It's beating the rigatoni.
Why do you think that? Because of the way it reads? Because of the social media world?
I think both. I think
It's like French onion
It's
soup.
beautiful.
It was really
It's
good.
delicious.
it's
Yeah.
tasty.
But I wouldn't
We
necessarily
would've
say
ordered
from a menu read
Yeah.
that would have been the most popular thing to order.
I mean, I think, I mean, that's what social media does, right?
Right.
I mean, we were selling almost 400 of them a week.
The best food cost item.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, pasta's really tough because like our tagliatelle with buffalo butter and tomatoes, we use like
I mean, that's-
the best buffalo butter, the best tomatoes.
Right.
I mean, it's probably still, I mean, not excluding labor, I would say that's probably one of the best. The rigatoni, because of the amount of volume, is also really.
Best business resource.
Seth Godin, you know who he is?
Mhm.
I use him a lot.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like you read his books or
Yeah,
he's a marketing expert.
He's a marketing
basically,
expert,
yeah,
and
sure.
what's it called? What is it, the email blast or whatever he
Mhm.
sends every morning.
Mhm.
I find them to be like they really like take you to a different place, and they're very like some of them are just. I mean, there's a whole podcast about him telling you like how bad some of his actual like emails are in the morning, and some are really great. Managing people is one of the hardest parts about our job.
Yeah.
And if we can help just a little bit and make people think just a little bit longer about how to do something or how to get someone to do something or how to actually draw something more out of a person, these are kind of like ways, his little email blasts in the morning are kind of like ways to be like, hey, let's think about this one more time.
It was fantastic.
It was so
Thank
good.
you so much.
so much.
Of course,
Pasta was great. Conversation was great.
as always.
Tell us how we find you and the restaurant on social and everything.
Of course. So to find me, Chef Hillary Sterling on Instagram, and it's Siamo NYC on Instagram.
And that's CISIAMO. Well, thank you again.
Thank you
can
so
find
much.
us at Tilit NYC and at We Are Opening Soon. And now you can find the video on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.